Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today I have the director and the co-director. First, I have Ryan Mowry. He is the director of a brand new movie, There's Something Inhuman in the Woods. Ryan, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming on.
Um,
Then I have the co-director, Drew Roberts, as well. He is also serving as producer as well. Drew, how you doing, my friend?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, so Ryan, I'm start off with you. Tell us a little bit about your movie.
so it's kind of a mishmash of a bunch of slasher tropes. It's basically a group of seven friends, three couples, and one odd man out who go out to the woods in Colorado in 1993. And they are just some post-college age kids who are going to go out and enjoy the land that one of the kids has recently inherited from their passed away grandpa. And they get out there and find out that the woods are not empty. There's something inhuman in the woods, and terror ensues. Basically, is the short version of it. It's kind of a horror comedy, but a little different, where it's not horror and comedy. It's kind of funny for about the first half, and then it gets real dark for about the second half. And we're gonna shoot it. It's very much inspired by the late 80s, early 90s shot on video movies. So not found footage, which is what most people think of these days. So I'm not talking about like Blair Witch, but like redneck zombies. Those movies where a guy went out with a VHS camera and just made something. So it's inspired a lot by that. Originally, I was going to shoot it all like that, just make it look like it was shot on VHS camera. And my DP talked me out of that. And basically, what we're going to end up doing is we're actually going to make two slightly different movies. We're going to have the 16 by 9 4K beautiful. There's Something Inhuman in the Woods, which will be, a serious, very serious film. And then we're going to have the full screen VHS, dirty, need some tracking version of the film, which we'll shoot with actually outtakes. We're going to use different takes from the actors. I'm going to let them improvise. So it'll be the same movie, the same story, not the same shots. And, with those shots, we'll throw some smoke machine in the background and throw some gels in the lights and make it look like it's a, shot on a VHS movie from the 90s. So
At production time, how long are you thinking?
So we're going to be shooting this spring, probably a 5-day shoot, maybe 6 or 7, but probably 5. I actually wrote the script in about 2 weeks. Back in May, I found out that my corporate job I was in for the last 13 years was going to go away, and got here's some time to go find a new job and here's some severance. And instead of finding a new job, I sat down and wrote a script. So May 14th, I found out about the job, and before June 1st, I had the first draft knocked out. And originally I was like, I'm going to make this super fast, because the last feature I directed took me over 5 years from beginning to end. So we were going to shoot it in September. But unfortunately we had some issues with scheduling, and some people, not able to make it when they could. So it's actually, I think, a really good thing. We're going to push back to the spring. As I've said to a few of my people on the movie here, one of the things I learned in the corporate world is good, cheap, and fast. You can't have all three. You only get two. Yep. Right? And we were going to do cheap and fast, which means not good. But now we're going to do good and cheap and not fast. So awesome. I'm excited about that. Yeah.
So I have a question for both you and Drew. Actually, I'm going to start with Drew first. In the year 2023, when it comes to directing a horror movie, anybody can right now. Everybody is making horror flicks because they're saying that it's cheap and it's easy to make. What are some of the challenges to stand out in the crowd and be one of the decent or even good horror flicks?
So this is my first one, and I'm trying. The way I'm trying to stand out is I'm trying to utilize local talent as much as I possibly can. Denver has a good pocket of horror film creators who are itching to make horror, because, I mean, the big studios and stuff want to make horror. The good thing about making horror stuff is you can be creative and make it however you want, which is really cool. Your vision is endless with this kind of stuff. And utilizing really good film creators who want to help you with your vision because they believe in it helps a lot. Also, what I'm doing starting out is so Hermit is a part of a web series. Starting out, they're all going to be called Mythos, which they're all going to be about folklore creatures. So that's kind of how I'm standing out, as I'm making shorts, but making them like a limited web series. And I think that that's unique. People seem to be interested in it, and I'm just rolling with it.
Okay. And the same question.
Creating that community, I think, is really important, and getting people involved.
It is. I'm gonna say something. What you're saying is true. I've said before, like as a horror movie watcher, indie and big name, I prefer indie. You can tell if everyone is on the same page. They're trying to put it forth just by sitting back and watching the movie, and you can tell when you're watching a movie if some people are just there for a paycheck or whatever. You can really tell.
Yeah, and there's a lot of heart in horror, which I really appreciate. So cultivating that community, I feel like, is very important, and I feel like that is a key to getting you started and getting you off, is being genuine and making something that people want to do and want to be a part of in the community.
I agree. How about you, Ryan?
Well, that's a good question, because I've been making movies for more than 20 years and you've never heard of me, so I don't know how to stand out. So I made my first short back in 1999. I've made a feature and I've worked with some other features. I think really, honestly, you got to have something that's special, you know what I mean, about your movie. Like, it can't just be a bunch of kids getting killed. There's got to be something more than that, right? I feel like with this movie that we're making, it's the characters that are special. There is a lot of character development in the movie, and by the time you get to the point where they're actually in danger, like, you're going to care about them. And then more than that, it's the fact that we've got this weird combination of comedy and horror, but not both at the same time, you know. And it's like, and if you've watched movies from the 80s and 90s, you're going to recognize a whole bunch of stuff that goes on during the movie. Even here and there, there's a line of dialogue that's literally just ripped word for word, you know, from a movie that I love. And we'll just see who notices them, you know. So as far as how to stand out, that's a really good question. I know so many low budget filmmakers and artists, period, not just in film, who that is the struggle, you know. It almost seems like the lottery, you know, like you just happen to have one famous person sees your movie and tweets about it, and then all of a sudden you're standing out, right? Or A24 happens to, you know, watch your web series, and all of a sudden they want you to make a movie and all, you know. So it's tough. It's really hard.
Now, since you've been doing this for a while, Ryan, I know with each movie you most filmmakers, they take something they learn and they carry over to the next film. So from between your last movie and your newest movie, what is something that you were like, damn, I wish I would have did that, or damn, I wish I wouldn't have did that? What's that one big thing that you're going to take your next movie?
So my last feature, so I made one feature before this that I actually finished. It's called Defective Man. I've just put it on YouTube after 13 years because I finally got the subtitles done, because the sound is the problem. It never got distribution. So the first thing I learned is do good sound. It's like when you're making movies, it just seems like such a, you know, an easy thing, and like it'll be great, but it's not. Pay somebody, get somebody who knows what they're doing, get your sound right. But the other thing that I learned is, so my last movie, Defective Man, if you go on IMDb, it has a cast of more than 50 people. It took me 5 years. It was shot all over Albuquerque. And it's scale. Like, if you're making a little movie, make a little movie. Don't make a movie with 50 people that has, you know, scenes that are all throughout the town, and like, you know, you've got costumes and you've got, all this other crazy stuff. And the funny thing is, when I made that movie, the script was originally written by the guy who produced it, and I thought I was trimming it down because his was even grander. Like it had like a scene in a skyscraper with a fire and like jumping out the window, and I'm like, dude, you can't do this, we have no money. So I thought I was making it smaller, and then I still made it way too grand. Like it's just too big. So yeah, the first thing is pay somebody to do your sound and make sure they actually know what they're doing. That's the biggest technical tip I can give anybody. I got so many nice no thank you letters for distribution for Defective Man, and basically it all came down to, it's funny but we can't hear it. So and then yeah, the other thing is just like make it small, makes it easier. So there's something Inhuman in the Woods is 7 characters. Besides the main 7 characters, there's literally, I think, 3 other people that speak a word in the movie. So there's only like 10 characters in the entire movie. Almost the entire thing takes place in the woods. There's 2 locations besides the woods. There's a bar and there's one of the characters' houses that they meet up in the beginning, and that is it. So we're going to make it tight, and we're going to make it, where we can get it all done real quick rather than go through all this, like I said, with my last movie, Defective Man, it was nights and weekends, friends and family making the movie. And it took us literally years from writing to when I premiered it. So my hope with this movie was to make it the opposite of that. So that's why we were originally going to shoot in September and be done, but then that didn't happen. And I think that was definitely for the best, but I do want to have it done like within a year of when I wrote it, is my hope. So
now, gore level, is this going to be
it's pretty gory. Yeah, it's pretty gory. So there's these monsters in the woods, and they're really quiet, and they're really mean, and they're really hungry. And we never really see them other than their hands. So, but we do see what they do to our characters, and there is a lot of POV shots from the monster's point of view. So you're going to get to see the monster tearing up the characters from the monster's point of view. So I have a lot of influence from giallos. I'm a big Italian gialli fan, and one of the kind of recurring tropes in those movies is often seeing killer point of view, which I don't see happen very often anymore. I mean, there's the, I poke around a tree or something, but not actually somebody getting killed
straight
from
on
the killer's point of view. But you go back and you look at like Fulci's New York Ripper, and like there's like 7 different women in that movie that get killed from the killer's point of view, and it's just hard to watch. It just makes you feel dirty. And that's kind of what I'm going for with this. Like I said, it's a lot of it is funny, but when it gets not funny, it gets really not funny. So
okay.
Yeah.
Now, is this going to be a one-off, or does it get away anything? Are you going
I don't intend to do a franchise or a sequel or anything out of it. The ending is kind of ambiguous, and you probably could if you wanted to, but that's not really my intention. Like, I think this story is the story. I think it's told and done. So, but who knows? I mean, if someone came and threw money at me, you just watch me and be like, yes, part 2. So, and Drew would be right behind me. Yes, part 2. So
if someone gave the both of you an unlimited budget on this movie, what's one thing that you would like, I would add this
to this movie? Well, see, that's interesting, because I kind of wrote this with the idea of not having very much money in mind. That was kind of like why it is the way it is. I don't know what I would pay everybody a lot better. There would be that. So, I mean, that's like, if I had a lot of money, I would probably, have my same actors that I've cast, but they would get paychecks. So, and crew would get paychecks and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, I think we could hire some better professionals, you know what I mean? Because like, we're going to have some drone shots in the movie, which I'm going to have to figure out how to do, because I can't afford somebody who is a professional drone operator, right? If I had money, I would have a professional drone operator. If I had money, I would be buying my DP a red camera to shoot on. He's got a great camera, but we buy him a better one. It would probably be the same movie, just with better equipment and more comfort. I would get people, a hotel to stay in instead of a cabin, things like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I was throwing infinite money at this, I'd be like, let's make a cool monster. That's what I would say. Like, why not? And then, but I do like your point of view shots and things like that. And for my Hermit movie, if I had unlimited money, I would make a full anthology of all the things I want, all the mythos I wanted. And I would pay a lot for makeup because I have monsters in mine and prosthetics and like creatures and things like that. Mine would go to like monsters,
Yeah.
personally, and gore, of course. Although I like to do gore on low budget, I think there's something that like there's something to it that like big budget films don't have, where it's like it has a charm to it for like low budget gore.
Personable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The art
It
more of an art
feels
form.
better. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels grittier. Like
yeah.
Look to it, and it makes it a little more disturbing.
Yeah.
And to what Drew was saying, so Hermit, his movie, you see the monster all throughout the movie. There's no like, it's like, here she is, and then you see her, and then she walks the characters around.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be awesome. You know, like, I think the effects and the stuff that he got for Hermit is great, but I could see if you had $1 million, you know, having this awesome floating Hermit or whatever, right? In our movie, in Something Inhuman, we literally never see the monsters, and that's part of, like, I did that on purpose. And I don't know if I had money if I would see the monsters or not, honestly. I might add in some CG flowy shit, you know, make it like black going through black, something like that I could afford to do.
Shadow or something, yeah.
Yeah, right. But like, I really don't know that I would add a monster. Like, that was kind of one of the things I liked about this script and this idea, is that you never do see the monsters. They're never explained. You don't know why they're there. It's not like one of those movies where like, oh man, there's monsters. Well, Hare's an expert and he's going to tell you why there's monsters. Like, that doesn't happen in this movie. It's 7 kids out in the woods getting attacked by some horrible shit that's out there. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm really
I kind of like that.
Sorry, I'm really influenced by, like, obviously Ryan told you he's influenced by like 60s, 70s giallo a lot, which is fucking awesome. I take a lot of influence from 80s, which is like, it shows everything, like, so like it's cool that we have this juxtaposition between like our visions for what's going on here.
And I'm an 80s kid, so like I love the 80s. I grew up I call the golden era horror, which is the 80s.
Yeah. I agree. I grew up on the 80s too. Later in life, I discovered the Italian films in general. I don't know if, Travis, if you're much of a follower of the Italians, but there's just so much going on over there. It's just ridiculous. Some of it's really good horror, and some of it's just this really ridiculousness. Yeah. And I like that too. You know, I enjoy the ones that are just like, oh, and by the way, this is a combination of Rambo and Romancing the Stone. Have fun, you know, and like. So yeah, like Drew said, I'm heavily influenced by Gialli, which is a little, I mean, it is, you definitely show it, but there's a lot more, I don't know, I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for here. It's artsy, I guess.
There's a lot more like a allusion to what's happening, and like,
right.
And a lot more like bright red lights and like, like artistic, like lighting and things.
I mean, I'm a huge 80s slasher fan too. Like, I probably have more 80s slasher films behind me here than most people have seen. So, you know, I get it. I'm a big lover of both. It was the 80s horror that drew me in, and then later in life, I was actually a video store manager, so I got a chance to dive into a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, I used to run 2 different Hollywood videos back in the day.
Video was my first video store, and so I know Hollywood.
Yeah, so I used to just like, you know, hey, for this month, let's go watch all the Italian films. And then next month, let's go watch all the Spanish films. And then next month, let's go watch all the ones that look like they look horrible, you know, and we'll just see if they are. So, and usually they are. So,
now, Drew, we've hinted on it. You also are working on a new project as well. It's called Hermit. Tell us a little bit about Hermit.
Yeah, so Hermit, like I said before, it's a part of a web series of shorts that I'm working on. To get me started and to get I don't know, I'm really fascinated in history and like superstition and folklore creatures and things like that. So I wanted to make a series of those of shorts that I can first off practice on, get better, you know, get my name out there. And second, you know, make stuff that, like, you know, that I want to watch, that like I feel like other horror fans are gonna want to like, you know, like I feel like Hollywood's putting out a bunch of stuff that they just want, the mainstream populace to like, and it's not really going towards that horror audience. And I want to put more into that basket. So Hermit is the first entry. It's about two. All of these are going to be very Colorado based. So this is about a very simple story of a group of 20, 30 somethings going camping in the woods and having a party and getting drunk and doing drugs and, having fun. And it's one of their birthday, and then two girls go walk off and they get lost, and it gets weird from there. And then they encounter a hermit in the woods who they have to depend on to get them out. And the hermit is based on a folklore creature, an ancient folklore creature that I haven't told I've told the cast and crew who it is, but I want people to guess whenever it's out. I want people to figure it out. Yeah, so that's kind of the deal with it, is they encounter this hermit to try to get them out of the woods, and then horror ensues.
It sure does.
So that's the first one. It's very gory. I went as far out on the gore as I could for a short that's going to be between 12 and 20 minutes long. It's going to be gross. We got some nasty shots. We finished filming a couple of weeks ago, I think, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It took all summer because Colorado had the rainiest summer in recorded history. Usually it doesn't rain that much here, so we thought we'd get it done in a couple weekends, and we had to reschedule. We started in late May and we finished in mid-August.
Yeah.
So so it was tough, but it's in post now. Wolf Love Films are editing it. They're a production team here in Colorado with a bunch of editing experience. And I'm hoping it's artsy and looks really cool and gross and gory.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
do we
thanks.
have a release date in mind, or?
Not yet. Not yet. So we just had our wrap party last weekend, and I just got the editors the last bit of film, and there were some problems with audio, so I know I'm gonna have to have actors come in and probably do a little more voice work. And other than that, though, I'm hoping a couple weeks, but you never know with these things. It is going to be relatively short, so it's not going to be like a year. It'll be up soon, probably by the end of the year.
2023. Okay.
I'm hoping.
Definitely looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Now, one topic but off-topic question: do you guys like going camping in the woods?
I do.
I don't. I'm not an outside person at all, man.
So
I'm like, it looks nice outside. I'm gonna be in here.
So some inspiration. So I hike a lot in Colorado. I hike in the mountains a lot, and that's like a big inspiration for me. It's where I clear my head. So I'm influenced by the outdoors a lot. I was born and raised my dad was the scoutmaster, so I was raised as a Boy Scout. So I love camping. I love being outdoors, and it's so funny because whenever we're filming, half the people on crew just absolutely hated being outside. and I felt bad, but at the same time, I appreciate them doing it. They just it was so funny. I was oh man, I forget outdoors aren't for everybody.
It's the mosquitoes and the noise and the bugs, and you don't know if there's a killer in the woods.
We also had a hike, which was not very fun.
That's true. Yeah, it was a mile from the parking lot.
It was fun for me.
Closest shot.
It was fun for me, not Ryan.
I'm too fat for that, man. Too fat, too old. It's way too high up in the mountains here. The air gets thin, and that's no joke. I'm not from Colorado. I moved here a year ago, so I've lived at high elevations before, so I was aware of it. But I had been in San Antonio for the last 12 years, so that's sea level. So you just don't think about the fact that, like, man, I can't catch my breath because there's not enough oxygen here, you know? And then you start hiking and you're like, oh my God, I'm literally going to die.
And
Like,
that does go back to like the very Colorado thing. Like Denver and Colorado, it's like hiking and camping and stuff out here are huge. Like there's so many outdoorsy people, and that's a part of why I wrote this one too. Is like I want Coloradans to be like, oh yeah, this is very Colorado. Like that's
Yeah,
So-
honestly, I am not a camper, and the only reason why my movie is about camping as well is honestly because Drew's movie influenced it. I hadn't worked on anything for quite a while, and I was helping him out with Hermit, just doing some second unit stuff and whatever, and they were working on some stuff, so I was wandering around getting some shots, and I was like, wait, I have a VHS app on my phone, and I started playing with shots on the VHS app, and then I was like, you know, this could be fun. And then started thinking about a lot of these movies that I liked a lot growing up that all took place in the woods, either a cabin or tents or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't want to be out here, but you know, I can put some characters out here.
There's also so many opportunities for high production value with just like it's beautiful out there. Like
It is.
You can just set up, you can just turn around and be like, oh, yeah, let's do that. Like, there's so much eye candy out in Colorado. Like, it's just in the mountains and stuff. Like, it's a great place to shoot.
And it's free too.
For low budget production.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you find somebody who's got some land and ask them to shoot on it, or, you know, it's.
And being a bartender,
easy way to make it look good. Yes, yeah. Drew, being our producer, is also a bartender, so he just chats people up about horror all the time. He's like, "Oh, hey, you happen to have some acreage with woods on it? Can we shoot there?" And then we shoot there. So, you know,
when you're out there camping,
people like to be involved. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Now, okay, I don't know if y'all can answer this question or not on camera. When you're out in the woods, do you try not to do any of the no-nos in horror movies? Sex, drugs.
Script or like in real life, because that'd be boring.
In real life, like real life, are you paranoid? Like, boy, I better not do this in the woods, because I just
honestly, for me, that's not an issue because I get back in my car and I go home before it gets dark. I don't. Yeah, I'm not out in the woods like that, man. Who's gonna have to answer that one?
Well, I mean, I go hiking by myself all the time, so like. There have been times when I'm in a really rural trail out in the mountains, and I'm like, if I died right now, like, no one's gonna know for a long time. Yeah. So, I do get a little nervous sometimes hiking out by myself, like in the middle of nowhere. It gets sketchy. It's like when you're out there and like you hear nothing but white noise, and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm out here alone. There's bears out here.
Mountain lions too.
Yeah, and mountain lions.
Yeah, they scare me more than bears. I mean, not that bears aren't scary, but you know.
I've also been in my friend Josh McFadden. He's my AD on Hermit. His movie Jammin' Dead, which is going to be coming out not too long. It's a feature film. He has me die in his movies after I go pee in the woods. So, you know, there's always that threat too. It's a common trope in horror.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, not to give anything away, but the very first person that gets killed in something Inhuman gets killed right after taking a piss. So yeah,
piss in the woods. That's the
Never been in the woods, man. So
now, Ryan, I see that this nice collection behind you. Is this all VHS or is it VHS and DVD?
It's all DVD and Blu-ray. I got rid of my VHS a long time ago. Yeah, but I am a huge proponent of physical media, and also I'm just a collector of things. So yeah,
it is an impressive collection. I've seen it in person. It's
what's the rarest horror movie you have back there?
The rarest horror movie that I have? God, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I have a bunch of stuff. So I wrote movie reviews for about a decade. So I have a bunch of stuff up here that costs less than $1,000 budget. I mean, I literally have movies that cost $35 to make. So like when it comes to rare, I have tons of rare things. They're so rare that you've never heard of them and no one else has, other than like the 30 people who read my one review for this one guy one time. You know what I mean? But honestly, I would bet if you call it a slasher film, I can probably pull it out of here. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Let me think of one.
I can attest to it. He's like, "Have you heard of this film? Have you heard of this film? Have you heard of this film?" Like, no. And I fancy myself someone who's pretty well, like, I've seen a lot of movies, and he's always like, "You need to watch this." So,
How about Drive-In Massacre?
Drive-In Massacre. I have Dead End Drive-In. I don't think I have Drive-In Massacre.
ooh.
Hold on. Let me go back here. Sometimes it's tough to remember when there's over 2,500 of them, but I don't think so. No, I do not.
Okay, that's a
Oh, you got you.
Oh, but I do know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
yes.
Wait. That's not the alternate title of Blood Simple, or not Blood Simple. You're not talking about the Thanksgiving one, right?
No, this was one with yeah. On the front cover, it's like you can see slice.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah.
No,
actually
I don't
had
have that one, unfortunately. Man.
Back when I was in the 90s, for some reason, my parents owned that one, and I remember that movie. And it was horrible. I mean, but it was.
Yeah.
It was made in the early 80s. So it was made in the early 80s.
There's a bunch of really good ones from the early 80s, like that people haven't heard of. There's quite a few. What was it that I was watching the other day? It's gonna bug me.
There's one
Anyway.
too that I know most people haven't seen, but it's called Fat something. It's a fat lady, and she's killing people, and she's eating. It was in the 80s. We own that one too. I can't think of the name. Or it's like Big Bertha or something like that. It's
Well, there's Auntie Edna's Meat Pies, but I don't think that's the one you're thinking of, you're talking of.
but I
I know what you're talking about, but
it's somewhere.
It's right there.
80s horror. I have VHS. I have old 80s VHSs from back in the day. And they're in storage, and I don't have them in my house, but yeah, but I like finding a good horror, like old horror VHS.
Yeah. I unfortunately got rid of my VHS a long time ago, and then I got into DVD and Blu-ray, and then I had to buy a European Blu-ray player because there were some movies I wanted that weren't on Region A, and then that like made this thing explode because I discovered Arrow Video before they started selling in the U.S. So like, okay, well, so there, if you want something that's really rare, Deep Red by Arrow Video on their original blue cases before they started doing anything else. So it has like 4 different covers in here.
Nice.
I've got that, and then I also have from Arrow. Where did it go? Frankenhooker on the original blue, signed by what's her face?
Patty. What's her last name? Patty.
Yeah, Patty McMullen.
Yeah, Patty McMullen. Yeah.
Okay. The director of that movie is who?
Frank Henenlotter, one of my favorites.
Okay. I was about to say, is that Donald Farmer? I just interviewed him, and I know
no.
He has.
So he is, he did a lot of crazy stuff in the 80s, but no, that's Frank Henenlotter who did Basket Case and Brain Dead, or Brain Damage, which is my favorite of him. So, and then he did a movie with R.A. the Rugged Man, the rapper out in New York, called Bad Biology, and then he did a couple of things. He's amazing. And then he went on to found Something Weird Video. So in the 2000s, there's like a million movies that came out from Something Weird Video that nobody had seen for 20, 30, 40 years, and that was all Frank Henenlotter doing that. So
speaking of rappers, Ryan has gotten All Flows Reach Out and Old Man Saxon to be involved.
Yeah, we actually have 2.
There's something in Inhuman, which is really cool and exciting.
Yeah. So Afro, aka All Flows Reach Out. If you have never heard of him, if you like people who can freestyle, he's amazing. He was originally going to be in the cast, was unable to do that, but is still going to be our composer and is going to provide a song for the movie. He's going to do that 1990s rap song that explains the entire plot of the movie you just watched.
Yeah.
That's going to he's going to do. And then we have local Denver rapper Old Man Saxon, who was on Rhythm and Flow on Netflix a few years back when they had that rap competition. He's going to be playing one of our characters, Tad. So yeah, he's going to provide music as well.
Something that Ryan really put a lot of effort into that I find exciting is reaching out to indie bands and indie hip hop artists to be a part of the soundtrack, which is really cool.
It's cool. I mean, since all indies should be looking out for each other.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that I did with Defective Man too, way back when, is getting a bunch of different bands on there. So thank you, Drew, for pointing that out. Yeah, we actually have quite a few pretty cool bands on here. It's set in '93, so I was trying to find either golden age hip hop sounding bands or ska punk from the early '90s. That's like the soundtrack. So we've got Two Skinny J's out of Brooklyn is actually going to provide us a song from the '90s. It's actually from like '94, but it's almost vintage. We've got Big If True, which is a punk band out of Tennessee. We've got Plastic Presidents, which is a ska band, a 7-piece ska band, I believe, out of Omaha. We've got Hans Gruber and the Diehards, who wins for the best band name ever. They're going to be on there with a couple songs. They're another ska punk band. Of course, Afro and Old Man Saxon are going to provide us some hip hop tracks. And if I have my way, I'm going to have a parody of the theme song from The Mutilator opening the movie. So
that'd be amazing.
Yeah. So right now, the guy who wrote the theme song for my last movie is working on a ska punk cover of the opening track. And we're going to call it Fall Trip. And it's going to be, I mean, it's literally just a word for word parody of the opening song. Because I don't know, I'm sure you're familiar with The Mutilator, but for anybody out there who's not familiar with The Mutilator is a really super gory 80s horror movie that opens with the best sitcom song that never was released for a sitcom. It's just amazing. So you got to go look it up if you don't know it. Because, I mean, I watched that movie and then I find myself for the next 3 days singing the song, you know. So yeah, we're gonna do a ska punk.
The soundtrack's gonna be good. That's all.
Yeah. We've got quite a few bands that are gonna be on there, doing a lot of good music. You know, it's
especially if you're like a fan of 90s punk and hip hop and things like that, which like I grew up on and I'm a big fan of. So
right.
So do you guys do horror conventions?
I haven't. So I haven't made a movie in a long time. Like I said, I worked at a corporate job for the last 13 years.
Or any of that.
What'd you say?
No, I meant for fun. Do you guys go to horror conventions?
Oh yeah.
Conventions.
Yeah, he's
so,
a convention guy. Me, not so much. I think the last one I went to.
Sorry to cut you off.
Nope.
Ryan.
Go for it.
So I host horror movie trivia. That's actually a funny story. Quick story about me. How I got involved with all these filmmakers. I didn't go to film school or anything like that. I've always been a horror movie fan. But I started meeting all these horror filmmakers because I host horror movie trivia at local bars out here, and I just kept meeting horror movie creators who were like, and I was like, I want to help, and then it just evolved into me just starting to make my own stuff. So yeah, we got to we're called Ghouls Night Out Trivia. We're on Instagram and stuff like that, and we've gotten to host trivia at Fan Expo in Denver 2 times, and we got to do Rocky Mountain Nightmares in Denver this year. So yeah, I'm a huge horror convention person. If I can go, there's actually one this week. Is it this weekend or next weekend? Colorado Festival of Horror. It's on the 17th. I know it's soon. Is that this weekend? Yeah, it's this weekend. So yeah, I mean, I'm a I'm a huge convention type person. I feel like, so last year I went to Colorado Festival of Horror and I hung out with Damien Leone and David Howard Thornton and Lloyd Kaufman, and they really inspired me because meeting them, I was like, oh, these are just like, they're genuine, real good people that just do what they just do what they want to do, and it really inspired me.
Well, I don't know if you watch my show, but like, so my goal with my show originally was to go to every single horror convention in this country.
Nice.
So, okay.
But I've turned it. I still do that, but I do the indie interviews as well. So right now I'm working on the East Coast. So so this first year, this is my first year doing it on YouTube. So my first year is going to be mostly East Coast, and then I'm gonna slowly start transitioning over to the Midwest and then the West Coast. So I will be in Denver eventually for your conventions.
Oh yeah, you should definitely check out Colorado Festival of Horror and Rocky Mountain Nightmares for sure. They were really cool. We had a Crypticon here too.
Yeah, I mean, I know about the Fan Expo because I was thinking about going to that this year.
Scream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo was amazing. I met him in Austin, Texas, a couple of years ago. Nice guy.
Yeah. If you're on the East Coast, have you been to Spooky Empire? Spooky
Empire. That's in Florida.
Orlando. Yeah, that one is awesome.
Yeah, so I'm in Maryland, so I've done majority of the ones up. So now I'm working my way down. So game plan is to have this weekend South Carolina, the one in South Carolina. This is the first year they're doing it. Down and just start working my way down to the south and knock the south completely out. So the north is completely done with. I'm just working my way down south now. So my last couple ones ago was at the it was the Carolina Fierce Fest. That was in North Carolina. So working my way down south and then start moving Midwest.
Nice.
Yep. All right, so
I'll be here if you need anything. I will point you in the right direction.
I've already written you down for when I go to Colorado. I'll be there. Said I wrote on my list. Colorado, okay, and hit Drew up. Yep. All right, so this is a part of the channel where I'm going to ask you guys 2 off the wall hard questions. You ready?
Okay.
All right.
Ryan, you're first.
Okay.
All right. What horror franchise are you fucking done with? You're like, please don't ever make a fucking another movie. Go away. It could be for good or bad. It could be that it's over that point, or it's so good that you don't want them to screw it up.
So the easy answer is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, that's the easy answer because like the first one's great. I'm one of the few people who thinks the second one is the best. And then the third one's pretty good. The fourth one's okay. And then it's just like we just keep going further down and down and down and down. And like I wanted to like that most recent one. I went in with like good hopes. I'm like, I want to. And they were just the dumbest characters in any movie I've ever seen. Like they're like, that door says instant death. Let's go in there.
I hated the characters.
Yeah. So I would say that there's that one for that. But if there was just a series I could just get rid of, I'd just get rid of Jeepers Creepers because we don't need to ever talk about Victor Salva again. So like that one could just be gone, And honestly, the first movie's not bad, but it's not great, and it's not worth the service that he still gets for being the person that he is. So, so yeah, that would be the one I would really get rid of. Texas Chainsaw, I would just kind of cut it off after 4. And we'll just pretend like the rest of these didn't happen, which is kind of the same with Hellraiser. It's
Hellraiser the same way.
But yeah.
Done. Yeah.
Franchises are weird, man, because like there's some that are really fun and there's some that are entertaining but not good. And then there's some that just should have been one movie. And then I don't know why somebody thought we should make 4 more out of it,
Yes.
So
Same question?
Yes.
Cool. So stop making Halloween movies. Please stop making Halloween movies.
Thank you. And I love Halloween movies, but stop making them.
Stop. Halloween 2018 was good. I didn't like Ends or
Kills.
Kills. Thank you.
That's the one that no one should remember. It's
I think they need to stop making Halloween movies. No more. We're done. Your other point, movies that they shouldn't make because the original is so good is The Thing. They gotta, like, The Thing is a masterpiece. John Carpenter's The Thing. I know it's technically a remake, but it needed to end there.
I will argue that point with you, Drew. It's not, but go ahead.
Well, ish.
That's one of the things that bugs me. People are like, best remake, The Thing. I'm like, no, it's not. Just two things are based on the same source material doesn't make it a remake. So, anyways,
I mean, it's
continue.
Whatever. So
no, I know what you're saying. I don't mean to interrupt. I know what you're saying. It's just that's one of my pet peeves. That bugs the shit out of me.
So
that particular one, The Thing.
They needed to stop with the John Carpenter's The Thing and just like, please don't make any more. They did the 2011 one. Some people liked it. It wasn't for me. I don't think it was necessarily awful. I just think it was unnecessary. And people keep talking about making another The Thing movie, and I'm like, just don't do that, please. No. Please stop.
The one that scares the shit out of me is this new Exorcist series that they did.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
I'm like, fuck, I don't want to see that.
The same people who did Halloween.
Yeah, he's gonna fuck that. Stop.
Yeah. I have hope just because I really want to like David Gordon Green. He's written so many good things. So, but we'll see. We'll see. As I've told Drew a bunch of times, because we've had this conversation, I am not a person who's immediately against a remake because it's a remake. Because no matter how bad that remake is, I still have 1982's The Thing. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to hold it tight and next to my heart, and I'm going to stroke it, and I'm going to be like, you're the best, I love you. We're going to pretend like we didn't just see that thing we saw, right? So, I don't have a problem with that in general. But yes, I agree with you, Drew. Like, please don't remake that. Like, it's just not necessary, There's so many remakes that are really just not necessary, but sometimes they turn out good, Like, I love the Evil Dead remake. I think it's the best Evil Dead movie since 2.
It just shouldn't be called a remake. It should just be a different Evil Dead movie.
It should just, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I really would argue that's not really a remake. It's inspired by the original story, And that's my big thing about fighting when people say The Thing is a remake, because The Thing used the same original story that a movie shot in 1953 used. That doesn't make it a remake of a movie shot in 1953.
I know John Carpenter was a huge fan of it, so he
was, and I agree with that. But if you watch The Thing from Another World, it's nothing like The Thing. It didn't follow the source material.
There's a carrot monster.
So, yes, but yeah.
All right, last question, Drew. I'm gonna start with you this time.
Okay.
What one iconic horror movie that everybody says is great that you're like, it's overrated?
Oh shit, man. Oh man. Oh, I usually have an instant answer for that, but I'm freezing up right now. Like the original, like the first one. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say you're gonna hate me for this, but I think the original Exorcist is overrated, and everyone's gonna hate me for saying that. But it just never really. So possession movies never really like.
I'm not a big Exorcist fan, but it was a decent movie. But I can't see whatever David Gordon Green is going to do. I cannot see it being. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. And like, with The Exorcist, like, I've just never been a big fan of possession films. Like, they just don't I feel like people raised Catholic are more like scared from that stuff. I was raised like Methodist or whatever. So it just doesn't really scare me. I think there's cool parts of it and stuff like that, but like, that's the one that I've always just been like, yeah, it's a good movie, but I don't get all the hype. And I also think that's because, it was the times, like, people in the 70s were really scared of that movie, and it just never scared me like it scared other people, I guess.
It's in my top 20, but when I ask most people what is their favorite horror movie, 80% of people say Exorcist.
Wow.
80% of people said Exorcist. It's like,
Yeah, so I think it's like I think it's overrated just for
yeah,
for today's standards.
yes.
And
Right.
funnily enough, I think the sequels to The Exorcist are underrated. So
Especially
Yeah.
part 3. Part 3 was great.
part 3 is amazing.
Yeah, a
And
lot
I
of
really
people love
enjoyed
part
Dominion,
3, yeah.
the prequel by Paul Schrader. But you gotta watch Dominion, not the one that was by Rennie Harlan, because no.
Mhm.
So
Okay. You guys want to hear mine?
so yeah.
Yes.
The original Friday the 13th.
Oh really?
Oh,
I don't like that movie. I think
oh
I get it.
man.
It's honestly, like, it's so different than the rest of the series. It really is. I like it because it's pretty much ripped off of Italian giallos. Like, the first two Friday the 13th movies have literally multiple kills come straight out of Bay of Blood by Mario Bava. But yeah, I get it.
I
guess
get it. I get it.
My big ones. I'll go for it.
I was just gonna say I get it too, because like something I love about that movie though is it's so ridiculous that his mom is just like so powerful she can throw somebody through a window. Like
Mhm.
I
Little mom
I love it for, like, I guess ironic reasons, and because it's like so silly. Like, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
but I also get why,
Yeah.
it's like, come on, Jason's so cool, and then this first movie's like, it came from this.
Because that's one of the movies that people put in their top 10
Right.
best horror movies. I'm like, okay, I can understand if you like it, but you can't put that in the best horror movie top 10. Like, no.
Yeah.
No. Ryan.
So mine that everybody seems to love, and I'm the only person I know that doesn't, is Terrifier. I hated that movie. I thought it was misogynistic and mean, and
I said the same
I
thing.
got like, I literally, I don't turn movies off, and I turned that movie off. That's the one movie in probably the last 500 movies I've watched that I did not finish. Where I was just like, I don't enjoy this in any way, shape, or form. I don't
love that movie. Women love that movie, which
a lot of people love it, and that blows my mind that women love it, because it just feels like it's an excuse to hurt women from one scene to the next. Like, that's what I got out of it.
But if
Drew loves it, you can see his look where he's like, I don't understand what you're talking about, and that's the fun thing about movies. Like,
I've said in my interview that Damien Leone does not like. He does not. Clearly, he hates women.
Honestly, that's the only movie of his I believe I've seen, and I would completely agree with you from what I've seen. Now, Drew sat and had drinks with the man, and I bet he could tell you something completely different. But
at the same time, I can't say nothing bad because I might be having him on a show. But people say that. By the way, if you look at any of my interviews with any woman, and I ask them who is their favorite horror movie or horror movie character, every one of them said Art the Clown and Terrifier, and I'm like, Art the Clown hates women. Like, you know that this movie is these movies are it's a movie for domestic violence.
Kind of. I mean, that's, like I said, I got like halfway through it, man. And it's not the gore. Don't get me wrong. Like, Bone Tomahawk has the same scene where somebody gets split, from groin to head, and I was okay with it in Bone Tomahawk. But in Terrifier, I'm like, man, really? Like, come on.
I mean, it's scary. It's scary. I mean, I feel like maybe the reason why women like it is because that's super fucking scary for them, and the point of the horror is for it to be scary.
But that's what.
See, I didn't find it scary. I just found it.
No, I didn't find it scary. It's just mean spirited.
But again, it's just, that's the cool thing about so many things that I love. Like, I'm a big fan of craft beer, and I can have a beer that I love, and other people are like, man, that thing tastes like crap. And I'm like, well, you drink none of it. It's all mine. Same thing with horror movies. Like, Drew and I like a lot of the same movies, but like The Thing, that's my favorite scary movie of all time. Easy. Like, that's the answer. Favorite scary movie of all time is The Thing, right? But Terrifier, we will fight to the end of days on that movie, because I'm not really fighting, but you get what I'm saying.
With people,
is completely different, and that's the cool thing about horror is like, there's a million different kinds of horror, and we can all like horror and not necessarily agree that every movie is the best movie.
My girlfriend absolutely loves Terrifier and loves Art
told
the
you,
Clown.
every woman loves Terrifier. Every woman loves Terrifier. And like, I'm a guy and I'm sitting back like, really? Yeah, like,
and I will tell you, I was a little biased going in because I'm not a huge fan of clown horror movies. There's been, exceptions to that, but in general, it's not my genre. But yeah, it was more the treatment of women in that
mean spirited. I mean, I'm talking about the
it
first
really
one. The second one
is
mean
I haven't seen the second one.
Yeah, the second one is mean spirited, but there's some art behind it. It has a story behind it. The first one, literally, there's no story. It's just mean and crude and violent against women.
The second one is also funny. It's like
too, yes.
Very funny,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, I keep being told I need to watch the second one, and I'm like, you guys don't understand how much I disliked the first one.
It's different.
The second one,
yeah.
The second one,
I understand. Maybe I'll give it a chance one day.
I mean, I get the second one. I put it in my top 5 best horror movies of last year, so I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed the second one, but the first one, it was just, like almost like I said, I did not even finish watching it. I didn't even finish watching it.
I think a reason why I like it is because like it brought back like 80s like practical effects and gore to like where a lot of people were avoiding that, I think that's a big reason why I like it. And also it's just like it's so unnerving. It like obviously I'm a man, so like, it's different, but
you didn't notice.
I didn't even think of that the first time I watched it. But like I love practical effects. I love the Art the Clown is scary, and it made me so uncomfortable. And I was like, thank you for a movie that made me feel uncomfortable. And maybe I'm just fucked up.
This is one that I think very few people have seen, Gags the Clown. I'm not a big clown person. I'm not a big found footage person. This makes me uncomfortable. I would recommend this one over Terrifier. But again, I'm not a Terrifier fan. But this is about a clown that just keeps showing up around town on social media and videos, and then, it gets worse and worse. And the whole thing is shot in one night through various found footage type stuff. Gags the Clown, yeah. So it's made up in Wisconsin, I believe. A guy named John Pata, who I did a few reviews for, who has a new movie coming out soon, was one of the producers on it. So, yeah, like I said, it's just, it's to each their own, man. There's so much fun stuff. So
the shittiest horror movie you've seen in the last 2 years, like listen, there's horror movies that are
Drew's ready to answer that one.
There's horror movies that are complete shit. So what's a complete shit horror movie you've seen recently?
Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends.
Yeah, it was good shit.
I would say Kills, but I didn't hate Ends as much as I hated Kills. I thought Kills was one of the worst things I've seen in so long.
I hated both. I mean,
how can you say the name of the movie like 87 times in the movie? Like if you're at those guys at home, like, they said the name of the movie, Drink, you'd be dead. Like,
it dies tonight, or Evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight, man. Like they said the fucking tagline from the poster over and over and over again. I'm like, yes, we get it. We all saw the poster.
Yeah, it's bad.
But the majority of the movie takes place in a fucking hospital, and like, so I actually love Halloween Kills when I saw it in the movie theater. So I saw it in the movie theater, and I actually loved it. And then I got like fucking Peacock or something. I was like, oh my god, it's on fucking Peacock. Let me fucking watch it again because I enjoyed it so much. I couldn't sit through it because it was the first fucking half of the movie is just so fucking long, so fucking dragging in the fucking hospital, chasing a mental old man around. Like it was just so fucking long.
It's like they just didn't want to give fans what they wanted at all. Like I don't know what they're like. Don't get me wrong, too much fan service is annoying, and that's not good either. But these movies seem to be actively like working against like anything the fans wanted. Like why is Laurie not fighting at all in the last two movies?
Exactly. Like, and I appreciate horror movies like people make stupid bad decisions. That's horror, but have I ever seen people make dumber decisions than Halloween Kills? I don't know.
Yeah, Leatherface.
Yes, that
The second one called
It's both
Leatherface.
of them
The
at the
newest
same
one called
time.
Leatherface. Yeah.
Yep.
Literally so they brought back Laurie Strode, aka what's her face from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. I can't think of her.
Not Laurie Strode. Not Laurie
Yeah,
Strode.
but
You're
the
thinking
Laurie
of,
Strode of Texas
yes.
Chainsaw
Oh,
Massacre.
oh,
They bring her back.
And she has the opportunity to fucking shoot him while he's sitting down,
Yes,
like
exactly.
and she doesn't.
Like behind him, and she's like shotgun away. And I was like, at that point, I'm like, seriously, and like throw up my hands and walk away.
so bad.
I mean, that movie had the worst decision.
Sally,
Sally.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, that movie had the worst decision making of any.
Also, I thought it was the same actor, and it's not even the same actor.
She did. Like what the original Sally did. That's what.
Yeah.
Well, that would make okay.
All right, guys. So
I was just
go ahead.
You were asking about bad movies. I enjoy bad movies. Like I
don't like
I'm a big
shit movies.
If they're
I
charming.
do too.
Yeah.
If they're charming, correct. I enjoy enjoyable bad movies. So that's like a whole genre in my film collection.
Yeah.
It's like
I love bad movies. I mean,
I'm all for that. Yeah.
I don't like any movie like the Winnie the Pooh movie. That's a shitty movie.
right.
I've heard that.
Bad movie and an enjoyable bad movie.
It has a sequel. There's a sequel coming out.
It's a shitty movie. It's not even a fun bad movie. It's
That's
a shitty movie.
Yeah, I didn't see it. So
Blood and Honey.
By the way, they're gonna come after me because every single one of my videos, if you watch any of my interviews, I'm always bad mashing how Halloween ends, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and fucking Terrifier. The first one. It seems like every interview leads with me bashing all three of those movies. And by the way, I love Terrifier too, guys. Listen, Damien, I like Terrifier too.
Damien, if you're watching this, you're amazing.
All right, guys. So where can everyone find you?
So you can find me. My website is www.doctor-ems.com. That's Dr. M's Delicious Elixirs, my production company. We're also on Facebook. If you look up There's Something Inhuman in the Woods or Dr. M's Delicious Elixirs, those are both on Facebook as well as Instagram. All of them are on there as well. So
at Inhuman Movie on Instagram.
Thank you. You can tell who runs the Instagram for the movie. So
and Drew
at Ryan Mowry is me, my personal Instagram too.
Awesome.
So I'm my personal one is at Jackass Jack-o'-lantern. All one word, no anything. Jackass Jack-o'-lantern. So if you want to check out my production company, it's at Ghouls Night Productions on Instagram. These are all Instagram and Facebook. And my trivia, if you want to check it out, if you're in the Denver area and you haven't checked out our trivia, we do themed movies. We do themed trivia. We're doing Beetlejuice this week because there's a Beetlejuice musical in town, so we're doing a Beetlejuice trivia. And then next week we're doing 1980s horror.
We'll be there because my wife would not let us miss that one.
Hell yeah.
Her costume set out already, I think.
Nice. And we dress up in costumes. We have a good time. Nice. That's at Ghouls Night Out Trivia. Ghouls Night Out Trivia, all one word. And then if you want to check out Hermit, which I'm currently is in post-production, go to at Hermit Mythos. So that's Hermit and then MYTHOS. And then you can get updates. And then that's how you can figure out when we're going to be premiering and things like that. I try to post every single day. So
awesome. Well, guys, check them out and check out Hermit and also check out There's Something in the Woods. I keep wanting to say Inhumane in the Woods.
I know. Everyone's Inhuman. We're, like I was telling you before, we're mean to people, not animals. So it's Inhuman, not Inhumane. So
that's another movie. Yes.
That's a different movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That Ryan probably has on one of his shows.
Probably. Yeah. We can do a remake of that one. So
Yeah, we're gonna be filming that next fall or next fall. Oh my god,
next spring.
Next spring.
Yeah, don't jinx me like that, man. We've already pushed back, so yeah, next spring, and then hopefully by next summer we'll have that out there. So
And then I'll do another episode of Mythos next year at some point too. So there will be more stuff.
Sweet. Well, guys, let's say if you ever want to come back on, please come back on. I had fun.
Oh
Awesome.
yeah, for sure.
Thanks for letting us on.
No problem. All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.